تفضل يا أخي.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه ثم أما بعد فقال الإمام السعدي رحمه الله. The most important conditions are: the first condition, الرضا, satisfaction of both parties, which is due to the statement of Allah, except it is a trade amongst you through mutual consent. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan,
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, satisfaction, I would say, is not an accurate term, but consent as it is translated in the ayah would be better. الرضا meaning accepting and consent. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan Hafidahullah says, therefore, if one is coerced into making the transaction, such as the judge forcing him for the benefit of those in debt, then it is valid.
For the benefit of?
For the benefit of those in debt.
No. Al-Ghurama are not those in debt. Actually, it's the opposite. The debtors themselves, yani the ones who are demanding their money back. What do you call them in English?
I'm not sure.
The loaners, the ones that gave the debt, the debtors, something like this. Naam. Anyway, this needs to be changed, both of them. Naam.
أحسن الله إليكم. Imam as-Sa'di rahimahullah says, the second condition, there must not be any gharar, in parentheses, ambiguity or jahala, unawareness, because the Prophet prohibited bay, in parentheses, transactions which involve gharar. Narrated by
the brothers on YouTube are saying creditors. Okay, yeah, better. Creditor is a better word. Gharar meaning that there is something which is unknown. When there is something that's not known, this is called gharar. And I think he will now he will give examples. And this is very relevant in video games. Very relevant in video games. And as you know, barakallahu fikum, I am heavily interested in video games and cartoons and so on, because I think that these have become so commonplace, and they are in almost every house, and there isn't a lot of attention that is being paid for them. So I do listen when someone comes and tells me about them, and he comes and tells me about this game and that game and what this game has, and what if it has this, what if it has that, and so on. Anyway, and a common image, I think I said this yesterday, I'm just reminding you, a common way today of gambling and this bay, which is gharar, is when they give you a package or they give you a box or they tell you yani there is you can buy one of two things or one of 10 things. They show you the 10 things and they say it's one of them. So you pay real money in order to get one of these 10 things. So if you get one, next time you might get the same one and you don't want it, and so on. This is, first of all, it's gambling, meaning this is haram, because gambling is haram and a major sin. Second, loot boxes. Yes, they're called loot boxes. Naam, ahsant. And packages. Naam. So, and at the same time, there is gharar, yani from two perspectives. So there is gambling on one side, and the other side is what? Gharar. It's unknown. But you might ask, you say, but I know it's one of these two things. We say, listen, they trick you into doing what? They trick you, they say, just pay $1. $2. So you don't see that it is a big deal. But what if I did this on a large scale? You yourself will admit that this is wrong and you would never do it. What if I brought you rollerblades? Rollerblades and the scooter and the bicycle and some cars. And I say, look, pay $10,000 or $20,000 and you might get a Porsche, you might get this car, or you might get a rollerblade, a bicycle. What are you going to say? You will never indulge in this. You say, no. This is crazy. This is haram. طيب, it's the same thing. Even if when it comes to loot boxes, they say $1 and you don't get, and it, I know someone once asked Sheikh Muhammad Isham, and someone also told me they spent as much on these loot boxes on a mobile phone game. I don't know the game, but on a mobile phone game. He spent $2,500. $2,500. You know, Allah al-Musta'an, if he put that money into printing some books for the students of knowledge in English or so on, he might have produced 1,000 books or 1,500 books. But no, he was spending it on $1, $2 until Allah al-Musta'an. So all of this is haram. Anyway, na'am.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. The following types of transactions fall under this. Number 1, selling a runaway, Sheikh Haythem Sarhan says slave, or a wandering. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan says animal.
نعم بيع الآبق والشارد العبد الآبق والعبد والحيوان الشارد. Selling something that is a runaway, whether it is a slave or an animal. Alhamdulillah, nowadays we don't have slavery. نعم.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Number 2, selling by saying, I will sell you one of these 2 items.
طيب, which one is it? You don't know. It's one of the 2. No, this is haram. نعم.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Imam al-Sa'di continues. Number 3, or by saying, the amount based on the distance this pebble I throw reaches, etc.
نعم. So you have he has a piece of land. He takes a pebble, he throws it, and he says, whatever it reaches is mine or is yours. This is haram because it is not specified. This is gharar. نعم.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Number 4, selling that which one's female slave is pregnant with, or the fruits that one's tree will bear. Number 5, selling that which a pregnant one carries.
Yeah, and she's selling that which is in the belly of its mother, from cattle and so on. Anyway, all of this is haram. نعم.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Furthermore, this applies whether the gharar, ambiguity, is in the price or the item being sold. The third condition, the aqid, in parentheses, contracting party, who is someone baligh, meaning hit puberty, sensible, Sheikh Haytham Sarhan says, and sane. Imam al-Sa'di continues, must own the object or have authority concerning it. One second, Ustad. No, page 88. Sheikh Haytham Sarhan Hafidhullah says, the fourth condition. Then Imam al-Sa'di says, the conditions of al-bay, in parentheses, transaction, also include that it must not contain any riba, parentheses, usury or interest. Sheikh Haytham Sarhan says, types of riba. Number 1, riba al-fadl, selling items of the same type at different amounts.
نعم.
With regard,
like I come to you and I say, I'm gonna sell you a kilo, for example, of dates, and I'll buy from you 2 kilos, for example, 1 for 2. No, this is riba. This is not allowed. نعم.
Ahsanallahu alaykum, with selling items of the same type at different amounts with regards to items in which riba can take place.
نعم.
Number 2. No.
And this is called riba al-fadl. نعم.
No. Number 2, riba and nasi'ah, delaying the qabd, in parentheses, direct possession in a manner that involves riba. Al-Imam al-Sa'di,
Meaning what?
rahimahullah.
Riba nasi'a. Nasi'a meaning to delay. Meaning what? Meaning, for example, I give you, for example, like I said, dates, or I give you some, whatever it is, and I say, okay, pay me back later, but pay me 10% more. This is, all of you know that this is riba, and it is called riba nasi'ah. Naam.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Al-Imam al-Sa'di, rahimahullah, says, it is reported on the authority of Ubadah that the Messenger of Allah said, gold for gold.
Make dua for the Sahaba. Ubadah ibn al-Samit radiyallahu anhu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. Ameen. Naam.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Ubadah radiyallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, grain for grain, dates for dates, and salt for salt, same for same, like for like. If these types differ, then sell however you want, as long as it is hand in hand. Whoever increases or asks for an increase has fallen into riba, parentheses, usury or interest. Narrated by Imam Muslim. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan, hafidhahullah, says, riba can take place in 6 types of items. Number 1, gold. Number 2, silver. Number 3, al-bur, in parentheses, wheat. Number 4, al-sha'ir, in parentheses, barley. Number 5, dates.
Yeah, that's why what I was wondering, in the hadith they said grain. It's the same thing as wheat. Why did they say grains? They should change it to barley, because sha'ir is barley. Yani, pay attention to this. In the hadith they said wheat and then grain. But it's the same thing. So they change the second one. The first one, al-bur. Al-bur huwa al-qamh, ya ikhwa. Al-bur is what? What is bur? Many people don't know what al-bur is. Bur is qamh. In Saudi, you see they call it bur. In Kuwait, for example, say al-qamh, which is wheat. But al-sha'ir is barley. Naam.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Number 5, dates. Number 6, salt. Al-Imam al-Sa'di rahimahullah says, number 1, therefore, a measurable commodity is not to be sold or traded for another measurable commodity of the same type, except according to these 2 conditions, and the same applies to commodities that are weighted. Number 2, if something that is measured is traded for something else that is measured, or something that is weighted is traded for something else that is weighed, but the 2 items are not of the same type.
Why did you say weighted? Weight.
No.
That should be,
no.
right?
No, yes. Afwan.
No.
But the 2 items are not of the same type.
Yani, is this in the text or you made a mistake?
I made a mistake. No.
Oh, no problem. No problem. No.
Let me read that again, inshallah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Continue. We know. Okay. Since it's not there, why am I asking? Because, the brothers are translating. So if the T was there, take it out. If it's not, no problem. No, go ahead.
No. But the 2 items are not of the same type, then it is permissible with the condition that possession takes place before parting. Number 3, if something that is measured is traded for something that is weighed, or vice versa, then it is permissible even if possession takes place after parting. Additionally, being unaware of al-tamathul, in parentheses, equality between items, is like being unaware.
Yes, that's very accurate. This is correct. Na'am.
It's like being aware of al-tafadul, in parentheses, disparity between items.
What does disparity mean?
Disparity. I mean, it's like different,
طيب, then use a word that people know.
Disparity. No.
So change this. What is disparity? Just say like how you just said it. Then it's like
Different.
knowing, يعني knowing that they are different. And this is a qaida. This is a ruling. If you don't know, يعني you're gonna buy this for that, not for money. يعني you're buying this for that. One is, for example, makil. One is measured, or let's say something that is weighed, and you're selling something. So you're trading. You're giving him something that is weighed, and he's giving you something that is weighed. Yani 1 kilo of this, 1 kilo of this. Different types, not the same. So what he's saying is, if you do not know that they are equal, it means that you know that they are not equal. This is a qaida. Focus. What does that mean? Yani we say, is this 2 kilos? You say, I don't really know. We say, la, we cannot. This is haram. Saying why? We say, since you do not know, we will say they are not equal because of that. This is the meaning of the rule. So the rule is, if you don't know that they are equal, then this means that it is not equal. As if you knew it is not equal. I will explain it again. If you have 2 kilos, for example, you say, well, maybe this is 2 kilos. We say, do you know? You say, no, I don't know how many kilos they are. We say, since you said you do not know, this establishes that it is different. They are not the same. Until you measure them and we see, are they the same or not? Until you weigh them and we see the same or not. So as long as you do not know the weight, then this is knowledge. We will say what is established is that they are not equal. So being ignorant of equivalence is like being knowledgeable as if it is a fact that they are not equal. This is the rule. Naam. I hope that this makes sense. If it's not, let me know. Naam.
أحسن عليكم. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan, Hafidahullah says, i.e., being unaware of them being equal is similar to knowing that one of them is more than the other.
Naam. So a lot simpler than what I said. Naam. Yes.
Imam Sa'di Rahimahullah continues, this is similar to how the Prophet prohibited al-Muzabana, which is buying dates with dates from palm trees. It says
meaning what?
It says fresh dates.
It says what?
Fresh dates in parentheses.
Sure. يعني tamr بالtamr without knowing how many they are. يعني they are still on the tree itself and they're buying and selling. This is called muzabana. What is this called? Muzabana. Al-muzabanatu is, you see that there are, for example, dates on this tree and there's dates on that tree and you're buying and selling. I'm going to sell the dates on this tree and I will buy the dates on that tree. This is not allowed. This is not allowed and it is called al-muzabana. Naam.
أحسن الله إليكم. متفق عليه. Agreed upon. However, he gave a concession for bay al-araya on the basis of estimation for anything that is less than 5 awsuq, in parentheses PL of wasak, which equals to 60 sa', for someone who is in need of fresh dates but does not have the money to purchase them, narrated by Imam Muslim.
Naam. The Sheikh didn't explain the araya, did he?
No.
And this is one thing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve our Sheikh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in his explanations. And by Allah, his explanations are very useful for a student of knowledge. And we would like to add something that is very important, or I wouldn't say it otherwise. But just that you would know that in the previous the section of the acts of worship, Allahumma barak, it was summarized and it was straight to the point, and Allahumma barak, as you saw. But as you can see here, and we will face many of this when it comes to transactions and what follows, is that there are things that are left out. There are things that are left out and they need explanation. So for example here, al-araya. What are the araya? And we will face many things like these. So this is one of the shortcomings of this explanation. one of the shortcomings is that there are many things that are not explained. And I believe this is done for a purpose, that this is very summarized and it is extremely summarized so that it is just an eye-opener to transactions. But in ibadat, in acts of worship, it's more than an eye-opener. It's actually something you can always return to. And you have the categories and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. But here it's just an eye-opener, an eye-opener. And if I will explain this book again, inshallah azza wa jal, I would go to the explanation of Sheikh Abdul Salam Shway'ir, as the explanation is, Allahumma barik, yani very thorough. And also advanced. But anyway, we will study this inshallah azza wa jal when we continue Taysir al-Allam. We stopped Taysir al-Allam abruptly because everyone wanted to have something like this, something that is extremely brief, straight to the point, and we go through Manhaj as-Saalikeen and then we go back to Taysir al-Allam. طيب العرايا are, يعني you can buy them. If someone has tamr, he already has dates. But the time of rutab has come. Rutab meaning the yellow dates. I don't know what you call it. They are yellow and they turn black. Yani they turn bit by bit. Sometimes half of them are yellow, half of them are black. This is called rutab. And it turns until it reaches, yani until it becomes all black. So al-rutab is the only thing that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has allowed to do this type of transaction with. The only type. That when the time of rutab comes and you are in need and everyone else is eating rutab and the only thing that you have is tamr and not rutab, you have the dark dates, then you can do this type of exchange. So it is only allowed in al-araya, and this is what is meant by al-araya. Naam.
أحسن الله إليكم.
يعني
Sheikh
يعني buys it by estimation, because you cannot buy by estimation. You understand? Buying, you cannot buy by estimation. The only exception is what? Al-araya. The only exception is araya, yani by guessing. By guessing, you say, this might be equivalent. When this is the case, then this is not allowed in anything, except for what? For al-araya, which are what? We said the yellow dates for, yani you take the yellow dates and you give the dark ones. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan Hafidhullah says, conditions for Bay al-Araya to be permissible are: number 1, one must not have anything that he can purchase using except these dates. Number 2, the
because
amount.
If he has money, Akhi Samir, he can just buy the rutab. Why would he give his dates? Then this is not allowed. But if he has only the dark dates and he would like to have some rutab, as this is very popular at yani the areas here in the peninsula, then this is allowed. Then this is allowed if he only has dates and he has no money to buy with. Naam.
Ahsan alaykum. Number 2, the amount must be 5 awsuq, in parentheses 300 sa'a or less. 3, the resulting value of these fresh dates must be the same as that of the dry dates. Number 4, one must need fresh
Again,
dates.
number 3, again.
No. The resulting value of these fresh dates must be the same as that of the dry dates.
This must is not a good choice of words. أن يكون مآل هذا الرطب بقدر التمر. That the again, read it again.
The resulting value of these fresh dates must be the same as that of the dry dates.
Maybe we can change must. We say the resulting would be or is something like this would be better, because like this you are making it. You might be contradicting the meaning when you say must. Naam. Because in the first place it's guessing. So how does it must? لا لا. You either say would be or is. Naam.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. 4, one must need fresh dates for eating and must not intend to keep them until they become dry. Number 5, the fresh dates must be on the trees.
يعني are not plucked or have fallen. نعم.
Sheikh Haythem Sarhan Hafidhullah says the 5th condition. Imam as-Saadi says another condition is that the contract must not take place concerning something Islamically prohibited. Number one, the product itself can be forbidden, just as the Prophet prohibited the sale of alcohol, dead animals, and idols. Agreed upon.
Again, number one.
The product itself can be forbidden,
Where did
just
you get
as the
this from? This is not what the Sheikh said. إما لعينه, يعني it could be because the thing itself is haram. العين يعني the thing itself. So you say إما لعينه. So you say because, either because for the thing itself, in parentheses, being prohibited. نعم. Continue.
So the next point? Or?
No, number one, read it.
No, the product itself can be forbidden, just as the Prophet prohibited the sale of alcohol, dead animals, and idols.
The sale or the selling?
It says the sale. So I think it's the same thing.
طيب. Okay, if it's the same thing, no problem. But in the beginning, it needs to be changed. نعم, number two.
It can also be forbidden due to how it can sever relationships between Muslims, just as the Prophet forbade selling over the sale of another Muslim. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan says, by saying, for example, to someone who bought a phone for 10, I will give you one similar to it for 9. Al-Imam Sa'adi rahimahullah says, buying over his purchase. Sheikh Haytham Sarhan says, by saying, for example, to someone who sold his phone for 9, I will buy it from you for 10. And Imam Sa'adi says, and al-Najash. Sheikh Haytham Sarhan says, whereby someone who does not want to buy an item increases its price only to harm either the seller, the buyer, or both. And then Imam Sa'di says, agreed upon.
نعم. What does this mean? It means that things that lead to hatred between Muslims is prohibited. And that's why, if you remember yesterday, we talked about, or the day before, we spoke about games. And we said games are allowed as long as they do not lead to enmity and hatred and quarrels and fighting between the Muslims. Same thing with, for example, watching soccer and basketball and sports and so on. If it leads to you to divorce, if it leads to you fighting with your Muslim brothers, it becomes haram. طيب. Now, we have a certain type of transaction, which is if someone sells on top of the selling of his brother. Meaning what? Let's say Samir is selling me a product for $100. So Rayhan comes and says, I will sell you the same thing for 90. We say this is haram because he's already selling me. And vice versa. If I want to buy and someone comes and says, I will buy for one, you understand? This is haram. And then we have something called an-najash. What is an-najash? An-najash is like if you have an auction and there are people that are implanted in this auction to just raise the price. They don't want to buy. So for example, you say, we will sell this for 100. So he comes in, he says 200. Somebody else comes and says 300. He says 400. Why is he doesn't have 400. He's not going to buy. He's just doing this in order to do what? In order to increase the value, the price. This is called an-najash. All of this is haram. Naam.
Ahsanallahu ilaykum. Imam Sa'di continues, 3. Another type that falls under this is the Prophet prohibiting separating between slaves who are related, reported by Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah. Number 4, this also includes if it is known regarding the buyer that he will use the item in disobedience to Allah, such as buying walnuts and eggs for gambling or buying weapons to cause fitna, in parentheses, tribulations or corruption, or for highway robbery. 5, the Prophet...
No. There's a mistake here. The last thing. And weapons, what?
Or buying weapons to cause fitna, or for highway robbery.
Or what?
or for highway robbery.
No, or selling them to قطاع الطرق, mercenaries. Or selling them to, look, this is what it says in Arabic. Listen to it. It says, والبيض للقمار أو السلاح للفتنة. So, selling weapons for fitna, trials or tribulations. وعلى قطاع الطرق, and selling them to mercenaries. So this is haram. So there's a mistranslation here. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم.
وإليكم.
5. The Prophet also prohibited from going out to meet incoming merchandise, saying, do not go out.
نعم. طيب, bandits, yes, you're right. Bandits also could be better than mercenaries. Highway robbers? No, not highway robbers, because قطاع الطرق would be robbers, would be killers, would be rapists, would be... So they're bandits, mercenaries, and so on. Anyway, this is another place where the Sheikh does not explain what is meant, which heavily needs explanation. And I've told you this. I have given you, and as you say in the English language, I've given you a heads up. Meaning what? Meaning that I have told you that this will come constantly after ibadat. That they summarize, this is so summarized as an eye opener for you, but it doesn't do the job. It does not do the job. Because what? Because we need explanation. What do you mean by talaqqi al-jalab? What is talaqqi al-jalab? No one knows. If you haven't studied this before, you do not understand what talaqqi al-jalab is. So what is talaqqi al-jalab? What does it mean to go and take merchandise? Al-Imam ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, in his explanation on Bulugh al-Maram, he said, talaqqi al-jalab, meaning فمن تلقى فاشترى منه من هذا المجلوب. يعني someone goes to the person, someone is bringing merchandise, he goes to him and he buys his merchandise, so that when the one who sold this merchandise... No, wait, I think I have... طيب, there's something missing. Subhanallah. Let me see, maybe I... طيب, fine. So I didn't يعني طيب, sure, I will explain it, no problem. Then not Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said, I will say that يعني someone is going to a certain marketplace, a certain country, for example, and he wants to sell. So someone comes to him before he reaches the place and he buys the merchandise. You got it? طيب. So after he buys the merchandise, now Sheikh bin Uthaymeen says, if he comes to the marketplace, he has a choice. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has prohibited going and taking, doing this, going to the person before he reaches the marketplace and to buy from him. This is called what? This is called what? This is called talaqqi al-jalab. But if he goes to welcome him or something like that and to bring him into the country, then this is no problem. This is what Imam ibn Uthaymeen said. And then Imam ibn Uthaymeen said, فَمَنْ تَلَقَّى فَاشْتَرَى مِنْهُ أي من هذا الجلب أي المجلوب فإذا أتى سيد الجلب الأول وهو المالك وهو قوله فإذا أتى سيده السوق يعني سوق التجارة الذي باع فيه ويشتري فهو بالخيار. As I told you, someone wants to go to this marketplace or to this country, to this city, and sell. So somebody comes to him, he thinks that he's so smart, he comes to him and he buys the merchandise off of him for a certain amount. So the one who sold his merchandise, he enters the city, and once he enters the city and sees the marketplace, he says what? He has a choice. He either can take them back and sell them, or he can accept the price that was sold by. So Imam ibn Uthaymeen says, أن ينظر ما هو خير له من إمضاء البيع أو الفسخ. So he either let it go and he keeps the money, or he goes back and gives the guy the money and takes his merchandise. والحكمة من النهي, and the wisdom behind تلقي الجلب, behind prohibiting this, ما أشرنا إليه فيما سبق أن فيه إضرارا بالبائع وإضرارا بأهل السوق. Why this has been prohibited? What is the wisdom behind it? The wisdom behind it is that there is harm for the one who is selling, and there is harm for the businessmen, يعني the traders in the marketplace itself. أما البائع, as for the one who is selling, فلأن المتلقي غالبا يغبن, because the person that goes out to meet him and buy everything before he comes to the marketplace normally tricks him and cheats him. ولو لم يغبن ما ذهب يتكلف ويخرج, and if he did not cheat him, he would never go all the way outside the city in order to welcome this person and buy his products, take his products. And the second harm is because harming the people of that city itself or that country, because he is depriving them of profit which they are expecting from selling, from buying from the one who is coming and selling it to the people. طيب. When I put this explanation in the book, and I put it in mine, I believe that I left something outside. So I will explain it to you without what Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said, but the basis for what I'm going to tell you is what Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said. Okay, guys? Normally, I like to write things down. I love things to be researched, put in place, and I give you the exact what this alim said and what you understand, better than me just saying out of my head. But now I see it necessary, so I'm going to say it. And subhanallah, some of the people of ilm, let me tell you this story very, very shortly, very briefly. Some of our mashayikh, like Sheikh Muhammad Hisham, I told him about my way when I teach. I said, Sheikh, when I teach, I am always bringing what the ulama said. They say Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said, Sheikh Sulaiman Rahili said, Sheikh Muhammad Hisham said, Sheikh bin Baz said, Sheikh so and so said. He said this is very effective and very good. And I remember I called Sheikh Abdul Salam Shuwair, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, whom I have never met, but I have watched many of his lessons and I have benefited from him immensely. When I called him, I spoke to him and I told him that this is my way. He said, no. He said, don't do that. He said, when you explain without mentioning. But when you come across something you're not sure of, then their cite attributes. Say Imam Ibn Uthaymeen said, Sheikh Falah Mundakar said, Sheikh Abdul Salam. You understand? So subhanallah, the mashayikh, they have different ways. So either doing this or that is each one has his own way. All of them are allowed. طيب. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen is talking about تلقي الجلب. What is تلقي الجلب? Even if you tell someone in Arabic تلقي الجلب, he doesn't understand what that is. He says, what is تلقي الجلب? That's why it is very crucial and it is a must that these terminologies be explained, or you're going to be totally lost in this book. Totally. طيب. تلقي الجلب literally means that what is brought, you receive, you take it. تلقي الجلب المجلوب, that which is brought, you take it. This is what it means, literally, linguistically. طيب. We have a trader. I'm going to give you an example. I will say, I'm going to pick, I can't even read the name. Joshua Abu Zubayr. طيب. Joshua Abu Zubayr. So let's say Abu Zubayr is a merchant. And he's going to go to another city. The city of whom? Akbar Khan. Our dear brother, Akbar Khan. So he's going to the city of Akbar Khan. On the way, Akbar Khan, no, let's not say Akbar Khan. I, AbdulAziz, I go out to Abu Zubayr and I tell him, look, I know the city and I know the prices and everything. I will buy everything that you have for $1,000. So Abu Zubayr says, Alhamdulillah, okay. So he accepts, and so I buy it. I go to the city of Akbar Khan. Why did I go through the hassle? If I just wanted to welcome him without buying anything, This is allowed. But I only did this in order to benefit myself. And I harmed him, by the way, because if he went to the marketplace, he would have sold it. He would have sold it for 1,500, for example, 1,300. Now, the city of Akbar Khan, the merchants there, they want Abu Zubayr to come to buy his merchandise. But this is no longer the case because he sold everything. So I harmed Abu Zubayr and I harmed the merchants where in the city of our dear brother Akbar Khan to benefit myself. And I might what? Even harm others, the people that are going to buy, because I might sell it for 1,500 and so on. This is not allowed in Islam. This is haram. This is called تلقي الجلب. نعم.
Assalamu alaikum. The Prophet, number 5, the Prophet also prohibited going out to meet incoming merchandise, saying, do not go out to meet the incoming merchandise. Whoever goes out to meet it and buys from it, then when its owner reaches the marketplace, he is free to choose.
There you go. So this is the second part. The second part is what? Now, Abu Zubayr comes to the city of Akbar Khan. He looks, and he says, so he meets some of the traders there, and he says, well, there's a guy named AbdulAziz. He came to me and he bought for 1,000. So they look at him, they say, but that's not what we sell for. Yani here, you could have sold it for us for 1,200, for example. So now, the choice is for Abu Zubayr. Abu Zubayr comes to AbdulAziz and says, AbdulAziz, give me my merchandise back. Here is your money. I will sell it. You tricked me. Or he says, I'm not going to go through the hassle. I accept, and he goes. He has this choice. This is what is meant by this hadith. You understand now the picture? No.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, it says in parentheses, between continuing the transaction and cancelling it.
No.
Narrated by Imam Muslim. Number 6, he also said, whoever cheats us is not from us.
Any type of cheating. Any type of cheating. Cheating on exams, cheating, whatever it is. Whatever it is. No.
Ahsana alaikum. Narrated by Imam Muslim. The following are examples of explicit riba, usury or interest. Number 1, using deception through the use of al-Aina, whereby one sends an item on credit for 100 and then purchases it from the buyer in cash at a lesser price or vice versa.
You understand what this is meant? This is called al-Aina. Al-Aina is just like doing riba. It's the same thing, but you're using trickery. So I go, for example, to Samir, and I say, Samir, I will sell you this pen for $10. And I will buy it from you now. So I will sell it later on, and I will buy it from you now for 5. No. So Samir is gonna pay me in a week 10, and I have given him a 5 now, and I still have my pen with me in the end. It's the same thing. Who are you tricking? This is called al-Ina, or this is called bay'ul Ina. Naam.
Ahsanallahu alaykum. Number 2, using deception by reversing debts.
Naam, qalb al-dayn. What is qalb al-dayn? Also not explained. Qalb al-dayn, if the qalb al-dayn, for example, let's say I gave someone money and he has to pay me in 10 days. 10 days have passed, he comes to me. So I tell him, you either pay me now or I'll give you 10 more days and you will pay me more. And you will pay me more. This is called qalb al-dayn. Or the same thing as bay' al-Ina. This is also called qalb al-dayn. Yani these are two things of that are called qalb al-dain, reversing the dain, reversing the debt, is that I sell you something, and I sell you a car, for example, and I say, pay me the amount of this car next year, 10,000. And now I'll buy it from you now. So the transaction is done. This is the car. I will sell it to you for 10,000. When are you going to pay me? You will pay me next year. The transaction is done. Then I tell you, now I will buy it from you for 1,000 or 5,000. So I pay you 5,000. You have taken 5,000 from me. And I still have my car, and still you have to pay me 5 more thousands. And you have to, in a year you have to pay me 10,000. This is called bay' al-'ina. And this is haram. And qalb al-dain could be bay' al-'ina, and could also be what? I give you a debt, you come to me on the day in which you have to pay me back, and you say, I don't have money. I say, okay, then I will give you 1 more year, but you have to pay me 1,000 more. This is not allowed. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. Number 3, using deception to deal with interest. Using deception to deal with interest through the use of loans, such as giving a loan with the condition of benefiting from some of that money or getting something as compensation for it. As such, every loan will bring about a, in parentheses by Sheikh Haythem Sarhan, stipulated or preconditioned. And then Imam as-Saadi continues, benefit in is riba.
So every loan that has benefit to it, brings benefit, is what? Is riba. Any loan that brings benefit is riba. This is a rule. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. 4. Another form of deception is selling silver jewelry along with something else for silver, or selling a mud of dates along with dirham for dirham, in parentheses only.
Yani as if they are selling gold for gold, but they put something else with it, as to say that this is allowed, and we said this is not allowed. You cannot sell dates for dates. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. The Prophet was asked about trading dried dates for ripe ones, upon which he asked, does it decrease when it dries? They replied, yes. So he prohibited it. Narrated by the 5. Sheikh Haythem Sarhan Hafidahullah says, this is because ripe dates are heavier than dried dates. However, Bay al-Araya, along with its conditions, which were recently mentioned, is excluded from this.
نعم. And all of this we have explained. نعم.
Yeah, page 90, Imam as-Saadi says, he quotes the hadith, he also prohibited selling a heap of dried dates
نعم.
whose
صبرة.
measure.
The word in Arabic, ونهى عن بيع الصبرة. الصبرة من التمر. الصبرة هي المجموعة. يعني is a heap, a group of dates. A heap of dates. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. Whose measure is unknown, for a fixed measure of dried dates. Narrated by Imam Muslim. As for trading something that one owes, number 1, if it is sold to the one on whom it is due, then it is permissible with the condition of collecting its compensation before parting.
Meaning what? Look, this is called the salam. What is this called? As-salam. Learn this. You must learn this so that you understand. As-salam. What is bay' as-salam? It's the opposite of buying on credits. You know what buying on credits is? I hope I'm using the right word in English. Yani, you are giving, like you're buying a car, they give you the car, and every month you pay what? You pay a certain amount of money, and this is allowed. So buying on credit. So for example, you go and you pay $5,000. They give you the car and you sign a contract that every month you will give $300 for 1 year, for example, and then it's done. So you have the car. This is called selling or buying on credits. Yani every month a portion. Now, the opposite of this is called the salam, where you actually installments. أحسنت. نعم. بارك الله فيك. نعم. أحسنت. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Because we're Arabs, but we don't use English on day-to-day basis. يعني some terminologies we lose. Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Pursue excellence. Yes. Installments. It's called installments. أحسنت. طيب, what about the salam? The salam is when you pay first. You pay everything first. Yani you pay the whole amount first, and then you are brought. Yani just like you do on the internet, for example. You order a certain type of food, you order a certain type of commodity, so you pay and they bring it to you. ولا بد أن يدفع كاملا يا إخوة. It must be paid, all of it, in the beginning. You have to pay everything. And you have to, and this will be mentioned, you have to يعني know what it is and what's its type and when it will be delivered. And when it will be delivered. And you have to know it exactly what it is, its specifications, its type, its the thing itself, which kind of commodity it is. So you know everything about it, the details, and it will arrive, for example, tomorrow or in 2 hours or in a week. This is called as-salam. This is called as-salam. And the Imam al-Sa'di didn't name it as-salam. He said, بَيْعُ مَا فِي الذِّمَّةِ. بَيْعُ مَا فِي الذِّمَّةِ. يعني selling that which you have. Selling that which you have. Now that you realize what this is, he says, if this is done as salam and the transaction happens to the one that is the one who's actually buying, then this is allowed. But if it is given to someone else other than the one who's buying, then this is not allowed. Then this is not allowed. Because there is gharar in it. Because there is gharar in it. So it must be to the person himself, not to someone else. نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. This is because the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no harm if you take it for its daily price, as long as you two do not part while there is still something between you two. Narrated by the 5. Number 2, if it is sold to other than the one on whom it is due, then it is not permissible because it would be a form of gharar.
نعم. And we will have a Q&A inshallah azza wa jal, a brief one. So send out barakallahu fikum the links. هذا والله تبارك وتعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلى اللهم وبارك وأنعم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.